popular online fitness trainer James Smith recently told his audience that insulin doesn't matter for fat gain and that seed oils are harmless. We're going to break down why his just count calories approach is fundamentally flawed for human biology, and why his latest attack on low carb and carnivore diets is full of scientific holes. Let's get into it. James starts by brushing off the role of insulin. He claims that calories are the only thing that dictates fat gain, and that without a calorie surplus, insulin cannot make you fat.
A lot of people seem to think that insulin causes fat gain. It is impossible to gain fat unless you are in a calorie surplus, unless you are over-consuming the amount of calories that you need on a daily basis. Insulin cannot create calories out of thin air. I wish it was insulin, but no, the problem is you.
Here is the reality check, okay? According to the textbook of medical physiology by Guyton, to oxidize and burn fat, you must have low levels of insulin. Conversely, fat is stored where there are chronically elevated levels of insulin. This isn't my opinion, this is a fact. James treats the human body, like a furnace. The human body is actually hormonal. When you constantly spike your insulin with sugar, with carbohydrates, you lock your body out of its own fat stores. Okay, from burning its own fat, you lock that from happening if you keep chronically spiking your insulin. You aren't overeating because you're lacking willpower, you're overeating because your insulin is trapping your energy in your adipose tissue, leaving your cells starving. Next, James tries to argue that a high-fat, low-carb diet is dangerous because it's easier to convert fat into fat than carbohydrates into fat, according to him.
In the low carbohydrate group, you would consume more dietary fats, which are actually easier to convert to fat than converting carbohydrates into fat. Turning fat into fat doesn't even require a conversion. Turning fat into fat doesn't even require a conversion.
This is an oversimplification that proves that he doesn't even understand what he's talking about here. He doesn't understand what fat actually does in your body. Fat is required to make cell membranes. It's used to produce hormones and bile. It creates the myelin sheaths around your nerves. And it is essential for the storage of the fat-soluble vitamins, okay? Vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K2, and vitamin E. Dietary fat goes to work performing structural miracles across your entire system. It doesn't just go straight to your fat cells, it has jobs to do. It has very vital jobs to do. What about carbs? What do carbs do? They break down into sugars. Of course, like if there's fibre, it's going to slow down the sugar spike, but still all carbs still break down into sugar. James then mocks the continuous glucose monitors and says that like foods like pizzas and burgers aren't even that high on the GI index.
But what about glycemic index? We've all seen some fitness influencers must be struggling financially this time of year because they're going out there promoting little blood glucose monitors. But even if you are someone that thinks glycemic index is really important, when we look at the foods that we know are making people obese, pizza, burgers, those foods aren't even that high on a glycemic index.
Measuring foods using the GI index, that's a very poor way of doing it, okay, of going about it, because the signal to noise ratio is very poor. A signal is supposed to be carbohydrate quality, but the signal gets drowned out by metabolic noise. When you eat carbs in a vacuum, in a clinical lab, you get one GI number. But the moment you add fats, proteins, or fibre, like the meat and cheese on a pizza, it alters gastric emptying and distorts the metric completely. That is why people use CGM monitors to cut through the noise of GI charts, because they want to see how the body's actually responding, an actual physiological response, okay, to these foods. And furthermore, on this point, he's saying that like pizzas and burgers, another problem with that is that like the Randle cycle, so it's going to upregulate the Randle cycle. So the problem is not just the rapid sugar spike, but it's there's a cross inhibition of carbs and fat. So there's a surplus of the two incoming, okay, those two substrates incoming, okay, the fat and the sugar. So you're going to get a cross inhibition of the two. The body tries to protect the cell. So the reason that like a pizza might make you obese is because of the cross inhibition of these two, because the cell's trying to protect itself from the incoming of these two substrates, okay, if you're having a large portion, if you're having like a mixed meal of both fat and carbs. So that's why you want to choose between one or the other. Choose either fat or carbs. Don't use both, because then you're going to upregulate the Randle cycle. One of his weakest arguments in the video was trying to defend seed oils. He says seed oils don't cause us to produce loads of insulin.
Also, the exact same people to point the finger at things like seed oils as being the very thing that started the obesity epidemic. The seed oils don't have a high GI effect. Seed oils don't make us produce loads of insulin.
We know that gasoline doesn't produce loads of insulin either, but I wouldn't drink it. The carnivore community's rejection of seed oils isn't because of insulin. Okay, it's got nothing to do with that. So it's not because of an immediate insulin response. The reason why they do that, why they reject seed oils, is because seed oils have fragile double bonds, have a highly reactive methylene bridge, CH2, between their double bonds. When these oils are heated, this structurally weak point oxidizes and break down in your body. This process, known as lipid peroxidation, creates highly reactive and toxic metabolic byproducts, most notably a compound called 4-HNE. 4-HNE is a toxic aldehyde that directly damages your DNA, destroys cell membranes, destroys your mitochondria, and drives the systemic inflammation linked to almost every modern metabolic disease. You need massive factories to chemically extract these oils, and consuming them fills your cells with these 4-HNE, which actively break down your metabolic machinery, okay? Instead of defending nutrient-dense meat, James is defending seed oils that have been washed in a petroleum-based neurotoxin called hexane, bleached and then deodorized just to hide the rancid smell, and then they're put in a plastic container, okay, and sold to the public. The glycemic index of that pizza and of that burger might be lower because fat is slowing down the sugar spike, so the fats are delaying the digestion and the insulin spike, it's delaying it, but the carbs are still forcing your insulin up, locking the door to fat burning and trapping that fat in storage. The body is not a calculator, it is a hormonal-driven machine. By limiting modern processed foods, sugars and seed oils, the carnivore diet allows you to heal from the inside out. Don't let influencers convince you that eating ribeyes with eggs is a trap, while telling you that counting the calories in a donut is healthy.
The problem is you.
Make sure to like this video, share with a friend, comment below, and subscribe, and stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.